Hello everyone! Welcome back to my channel. My name is Sophia and I'm a second year medical student at Deakin University in Australia, Geelong. And as you can see by the title of this video, the video is going to be about clinical school application process in my university. That's why I'm wearing a stethoscope. And also, before we roll back into the video, look at what I drew over this weekend. Like a young Van Gogh I am. And also look at my flowers, how pretty. Anyway, so yeah, in this video I'm gonna cover what is clinical school application process at Deakin University for third and fourth years, what are the hospitals available, how you do it, and what is the general vibe of it, like what the whole process is about. So stay here and let's roll. So what is clinical school selection process? To tell you in the simplest way as possible, Deakin University medical program is divided into two sections. First and second year are your preclinical years, where you attend lectures, where you go to tutorials, seminars, you go to clinical skills and workshops on campus, so it's pretty much like your undergraduate degree. Whereas third and fourth year are your clinical school years, where you allocated into the hospital and you spend those 2 years being and studying in the hospital. You attend your hospital where you learn clinical skills and everything about medicine, but it's no longer at the university, it's at the hospital. This is the simplest way to tell you what it is. And basically, in the end of the second year, you need to submit your applications for third and fourth years in which clinical hospital you want to go to. And basically, Deakin University has 5 hospitals for the clinical years to choose from. We applied to those hospitals on 22nd of March, that was the deadline. So it's not even the middle of second year that you need to apply to them, it's more like beginning of the year. And what you have to do is you put your preferences in from those 5 hospitals, and then the program selects you, and 90% of students usually get their first preference. The other 10 students are not so lucky and they get their fourth or fifth or third or second preference. So because it's randomized and the program makes its best to allocate you, but it's not that easy all the time, as you can imagine, as there are much more students that want to apply to a specific hospital that the hospital can accommodate. So what are the 5 hospitals and how do they differ? To tell you the list, Deakin University has 5 hospitals. First is the Box Hill Hospital, which is the only hospital in Melbourne. Secondly, they have the hospital in Geelong Public Hospital. And thirdly, they have Ballarat Hospital. Fourth, they have Warrnambool Hospital. And the fifth one is RCCS, which is rural towns. So there are almost 10 locations in RCCS that you get to choose from, but they are GP clinics rather than big hospitals because they are rural and it's not a big hospital, rather it's a GP clinic. So let's talk about each and every one of them. So Box Hill Hospital, as I said before, or Eastern Health, is the only hospital that's in the city of Melbourne, and it only offers around 18 students, so there is a quite high competition for the place in that hospital. There is a lot of self-learning in that hospital, and because of the fact that there is not only Deakin medical cohort but also Monash cohort, so those 2 cohorts, they don't really interact with each other because Monash students are some undergraduate medicine, some are in their 4th and 3rd years. So there is a lot of self-learning involved, and there is a quite small cohort of students that get allocated to Box Hill Hospital. Also, there is some problem with parking there, but to tell you the least, I applied it as my first preference, and I hope I'll get it because I want to be back in Melbourne. So the second hospital that I'm going to talk to you about is Geelong Hospital. In Geelong Hospital, there are almost 80 places for students available. And keep in mind that the whole medical cohort at Deakin University is approximately 160 students, so it's almost a half of the cohort will go to the Geelong Hospital, mainly because Deakin University is situated here and it's the main hospital of Deakin University. So the advantages of the Geelong Hospital is that it's based in Geelong City and there's a big cohort, so you will not be separated from the other students. You will obviously have a lot of friends if you stay there. Also, all the events of Deakin Medical School happen in Geelong, and you won't need to travel from rural cities or Melbourne to get to the Geelong. So yes, as I said before, there is a lot of support available from the Deakin University, as there are a lot of students there, and you won't feel like you are missing out on any events or school resources. The Deakin Library is just around the corner, so it's a very good spot for those who don't want to go to Melbourne and want to stay in Geelong. So the third hospital that I'm going to talk to you about is the Ballarat Hospital. Obviously, Ballarat is located in the central Victoria. It's a bit of an hour and 20 minutes from Melbourne, but it doesn't have an access to ocean, which is why much less students want to go there. I put it as my third preference after Geelong because it's still close to Melbourne, and Ballarat Hospital has a very small number of cohort, but not as big as Geelong. So it's about 30 places there, and it allows a good bond and a good community. This is what I heard from past students. These are not my words because I haven't been in that hospital. And I have heard that there is a strong support systems in the community from nurses and doctors, because there are not so many med students and they're all in contact with each other, which I think is super fun. But again, not being able to go to the ocean is, I guess, a major disadvantage. Next on the list is Warrnambool. Warrnambool is considered to be a rural town because it's located very, very far from Melbourne. It's around 3.5 hour drive from Melbourne. So if you think about Warrnambool, it doesn't have much popularity among students because not everyone is ready to move away, although some students might have relatives from Warrnambool or friends and they want to go there. Also, there is a really, really small cohort of students in Warrnambool. I think just about 15 or 20 people there, so you will study in small groups, and for those people who are more a bit shy or like to study in small groups, it would be the best. Also, if you don't really want to stay in a big city and have a nightlife or things like that, seeing with friends, going to clubs on weekends, then maybe it's a good option for you. But personally, I prefer Warrnambool as my fourth preference because I was not ready to move away from the city. The last location to talk about is RCCS. So basically it includes all rural hospitals, but again, as I said in the introduction, they are not really hospitals, they are GP clinics. So when you come to the RCCS and you get the RCCS, you're basically allocated there for only 1 year because it's a rural town and it's GP clinic, so the Deakin University wants you to be in a hospital for a year as well. So then you're allocated to RCCS for 1 year only, and basically for the second year or for second year of clinical placement, you get to choose your other place, like Ballarat, Geelong, probably not Eastern because it's very, very competitive to go there. So once you select RCCS, it's gonna be only you and one other student at the location out of the 10 locations. And when you get to choose RCCS, you get to pick in the interview which location you want and which partner you want. And there is also a question whether you would want to sacrifice the location that you want or the person that you want, because you will be stuck with that person for the year, and they want you to make sure that you are satisfied with the person and you are like friends with them. So someone you don't like, you wouldn't want to be there for a year. And then after that, you are there for a year, and it has a lot of opportunity to learn, because you are just two of you in the whole clinic. Everyone knows you, and there's a lot of like clinical experience for you to explore. And many students gain a lot from RCCS, even if they're allocated as their fourth preference or fifth preference. They in the end enjoy it very much because of the skills that they gain throughout the year. And also the accommodation is pretty cheap if you get to go in RCCS town. So bear in mind that these are my personal opinions, or the opinions that I heard from other people, but I did my best to summarize all of the hospitals, and hopefully it made you clear about what is clinical school application process, when it happens, what it implies, and what are the hospitals that are involved. So I will update you guys on which hospitals I get allocated, because allocations results are in late May. And for now, I'm gonna say bye to you all, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.